Emmanuel Wilson Jnr. Akikuwa from Crusaders against corruption. Na ono chief Crusader. Imamachi.
Yaminya.
Bibia boko de.
Yamia don dem mpaibo. Na moswe.
Adom na tax e de ba ye nem say amafo kan wasa me say mu de enheda an kan wasa nti no enheda say o de o son what's yen some a maka about this is it a emission tax and 15% VAT on electricity. Now one interesting thing any other taxes I wo
yeah.
Share assembly a medical bobo so chere divan ba me sam bobo so nkere won so bio na tie nia panfo bi eka na me kan ye me yam hye me pa say or say tax expert calls for tax reforms amid exodus of multinational companies, meaning say to hye ye organize no nyuma ko afia ma no ne a ebe pompe usika onyina wo nyina omoko afei pani a oda Ghana Chamber of Commerce ano so abokoko say the tax no kono egu nkrofo nyuma ese nkrofo nyuma ntumi enyini ene de tetete sa woti na chi na dwene ho din a aba no so nkyerechire mo ode ma no so we need the money to run the country until sa taxes ya na be ye ne kakra ka ya kwan isi school adan hospital no sa ne manamiti si anya de bebo no ti na finance minister kan say ye nye cost sharing. Enti ya nyentum say we ahokyere mu ne ye woni nyina ye moa siska sem no gina ya ebebo ye nyina
Medas mami nchia wetie for ni ahwefo na me wish ye nyina a happy new year. Emsa afi na yedi nkomo.
Sure.
Enti me wish you be a happy new year. You see, the reason why you introduce tax in any jurisdiction is just to raise funds. There are other benefits, I mean pros and cons in it. And until so raise tax, the most important thing is a tax no. Odibeye ejumasi de SNFata. Ghana had more, we have so many taxes. In fact, number of taxes, they say you lose count of it. Now you see one of the reasons why in here you raise the tax, as I indicated, among other things, and they say a buying benyiska, edia ye ejumasi de SNFata. So Obekaya embra e-levy. Yes, I introduce you e-levy. That was one of the arguments I make here. Crusaders against corruption, you make a fundamental statement. Enunti decided say we are not in support of the e-levy. Statement you make here and very simple, and I'm going to do the same thing here. The kind say ope say uraisi sika, and yet the amount of money uraisi ane here. But the prudent management of it, and only the most important thing.
Okay.
Until you can have thousands of taxes. At the end of the day, say all lucky the prudent management. Ebekwa kwa say wakunsio ediegu kentemu. Obekwa 1,000 times in Fasobia embasso. Mami limiting it to just these two levies you can want say emission and VAT you can say electricity. The other reason in here you raise it and I introduce you tax is to either serve as an incentive and as an incentive and now to discourage something.
Okay.
Inti say emfane say ye pese ye promote to made in Ghana goods sir. And no abambe to me decide say or introduce tax on imported goods. Into those imported goods, no prices never cost. Into automatically a bit discourage.
So
import. Then we concentrate on made in Ghana goods. That is one key. Another key example, reason here you introduce to tax. Question I be saying say what is the essence of this emission tax? And only the rationale. That's the question argument to see if you find out. You say pollution, meboa.
Yeah.
So to ensure, say, remember, so we already have a pollution tax. Now, the emission tax, which comes from vehicles and any machine be a move, say ye motor, say ye abubu ya, say ye car, say ye truck, or say thing. Emission comes from it. So we want to introduce emission tax so that what will happen? A bit discourage people from using old vehicles, and a bit discourage people from ensuring say you be move away from vehicular and as a car use petrol and diesel. That is one reason. You see, what jurisdictions say China and other places are almost a move to electronic vehicles. Omo decided said this time one person move because of ozone. One person move away from petrol diesel cars. One person move to cars that use electricity. Now omo decided some will introduce emission tax. It makes sense. Are you getting it?
Yes.
What it means is that they are discouraging people from still using the traditional vehicles, petrol, diesel, what have you. Ghana question that is beside when they say how many, in fact, has the system created an environment encouraging to move into what we call the electronic cars.
Me cry electronic cars. Me said that Behu mienu penifo ye no kra no ye executive car pa
that's right. In fact, the reason why it is, and omo also we hu kra me sure say nya de omo tie use. And it is also because systems are operating electronic vehicles. You put those systems in place.
Points.
Exactly. You put those things in place. It is obi say obi kra akotobia say they can be about na mienu bi. It is just for purposes of decoration and yet for purposes of usage. Which means say as on mind you do some pempen so now you be kind say you encourage you to move to the electronic vehicles. Until then you come back and ask yourself say what is really the intention for introducing that tax? What's the scenario? Everything suggests it actually doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. But you see, the reason why it doesn't make sense, but still the government want to push it, is simply because governments need decided say obey on you're interested in anything called fiscal discipline. On it the year to spend. No, that's a fact. And yes, that is how it is. Look, say or mine catch or say you bring it on board a tax like e-levy. Now or argue say e-levy it will give us about I forgot, I think so I say 3 billion or so.
And the initial $9.9 billion. Ghana cedis. And yet it's about 6.4 billion.
6.4 billion Ghana cedis. That is what it says. And because of that, no catch you say mubuana ye pass now you to me implement here e be solve your problem, you know. That's the argument. This is the same government ababetoja annually. You lose $2 billion to corruption, wastages in the system. Now convert $2 billion into cedis. Now compare to the 6-point-something billion Ghana cedis. You will see, say we don't need so many taxes. They here a fiscal discipline, and that is what we are lacking. You understand what I'm saying? And basically, the reason why Abine decided to say, no, the taxes are obey courts, whether it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. Because rationally, besides say even the E11, what is the rationale for it? What sense does it make? And this Abine decided to introduce taxes on share the principles governing taxation. Two of them is what I mentioned earlier. Say, discourage other commodity. And I say you want to increase revenue. Also increase revenue. You don't introduce thousands of taxes. You just seal the loopholes. And that is what Abine is obeying over these past years. So person who introduce taxes, you create the necessary environment to make sure say, discourage one commodity and promoting another commodity. That is consciously promoting policy development. Unfortunately, Abine introduced taxes without considering any of these two rationale or principles surrounding taxation. And that is why, look, and now I mean, say, just about last 2 weeks, me and mommy used me as an example, just about last 2 weeks. For whatever reason, me type paper say me di misika, me ye electronic transaction. Eyi misika if me bank account to my mobile account, then I do transaction. Just 2 weeks ago, me banker frame me. Because Onim said that is what I love to do. Offering Gajan boss, you have to reduce that kind of transaction because there's a new tax that has come on it. Me and Misika. Me yi from, it's just like me wosika or me pocket. Now me yi di asha me back pocket. Yes, you have me tax on it.
Say initially no, I say who yi sika fi wa account mu. bank account over there by mobile wallet no tax.
But unfortunately,
if you mobile wallet call account bank
no tax. But they say they've started implementing it.
Tax.
Are you getting it? You just you just realize say aban no enye opepe bi na owo. And aban nankasa when it comes to management, prudent management, why not say enye idea he will be part of it. What he's rather going to do is say, as long as he can be able to spend, that is all he does. Into a better tax everything or tax at the end of the day, or who say Adena exhausted, now he have more money near there, then he will tax another thing. Mm-hmm. Then the next day will be tax another thing. The next day will be tax another thing. The fundamental reason why Abanu introduced you unreasonable taxes over this past period. As and I'm very happy say workers organized group. TUC decided say as long as they live on be making sure say this electricity tax and that is what we need because say anyane sani ye din e-levy ya pass it emission tax about abedra wine abedra the next moment they will tax something else at Yadrin Embassy. And the reason why they keep doing this is just because of almost lavish way of spending and then living. So, aban and our government the first policy of making and I said the first decision of making and say I'm going to place an embargo on the buying of V8 vehicles. Then overnight, so aban decided to move from here, Tessan or higher to Abia Adenta, the convoy will be used. You ask yourself whether it makes sense. At the end of the day, we look at the fuel involved in it. At the end of the day, we look at personnel involved in it. Omunina a cost. Even the vehicles, 4, 5, 6 vehicles, maintenance of that vehicle, and also your cost. Who pays all these things? Your taxes. And this at the end of the day, so I take you all the taxes. Now, who say, look, still, my lifestyle is so high, and I still need more money. He will end up taxing and taxing and taxing. That is exactly what he's doing. But yes, sir, in this kind of dispensation, Abang in his reason, like rightful sense and a right frame of mind, Ebeka say or charter flight. Even when you can want some still close now the mind and in the ears can say I'm still chartering simply because secure for flights and you pocket money. It is through these taxations. I'll give you one other example. When we say me assure says me nam krum na me kasi me tobia. It has health insurance on it.
Yeah.
A levy. It's part of the taxation. Fee time health insurance. He introduced health insurance under Yera Dada Akuffo. Consistently, me and almost everyone in this country, each year are taxing. Till about last year or so, I hear something and I needed to go and do health insurance card. Nami card ni crampo. And yet, for time, I have been paying. And there are thousands of such of me in town. I without paying, without benefiting from it. Even when I went for that card, I have used it just once. I've benefited from it just once. The point I'm making is this. Despite the fact that we are paying levy on, how do you call it? Health insurance. There are thousands of us we are paying, but we are not benefiting from it. And now I know, kasi, uko hospitals, some catchers say, I bind the one car. Are you getting it? Into question here, Sasika you tiano, I bind the heading. Are you getting the practicality of it? Sika mimitia every day. Now, as I said, no, me assure said there are thousands of such of me. Are you benefiting from it? Fantastic. Into there are thousands of it. Into then it means rationally, Aban should even be making more money on health insurance and kwa. Because in PTA without benefiting from it. Into Aban should be making money on that health insurance in kwa. So the question is, where does that money go? It just brings back to the fundamental point that you make here and say, to say as a mind, you be move away from this lavish and wasteful spending and concentrate on fiscal discipline. And that is what is lacking in this country. Say into me and your fiscal discipline. And then you decide, say, yeah, we are, okay, as a man, you decide, say, all we are going to do is to engage in fiscal discipline for the next 1-2 years. There are so many taxes are buying our because we will get so much money. Look, I was just making this argument this morning with one of my sister stations, CB. Now I'm catching say me, I am into production. Now me production I am into no. Ebia I need raw material to do all these things. Inti what taxing me on these raw materials? Now me your production ni we so income I mean so what taxing me on it? Yam funny say because of taxation or the two raw materials so into no. In Crawford P a opportunity no to go into production because taxes no was strong. Inti ya you to me ko mu pay a nipa 5 pay. Flat, just for purposes of argument. Production taxes, ABA 50 cedis. Okay. Income tax, me be na me ton so na me the income tax, 50 cedis. We may do this calculation. Intimate production tax of 50 cedis, income tax of 50 cedis. Because of production tax, too high into nipa be 10 penny to me according to this production. And at the end of the day, no. Jurisdiction like Ghana had money, nipa 10 penny coin to this production. There's another jurisdiction on we decided say, or you're very smart. Into what he wants to do, and they say, on tax raw materials, so to encourage a lot of people into production. Into in that jurisdiction, because raw material into production or production of this, cheap, nipa be say 200
instead of 10.
Exactly. At the end of the day, no, sir, 200 no more be no. Say, j omo income tax of that 50 cedis. It's just common sense, and that is why now I believed very well in particularly Bawumia and Brand opposition. Oka say, you don't tax your way into development. A fundamental taxation and a developmental and economics principle. Into question here, how come they know the truth and yet they decided to do otherwise? And yet Bawumia nkasa no ka say ono there's no way obe encouraging the taxation of electronic transactions. And you know the reason why? Because as I said, one principle of taxation is to discourage and encourage something else. It is a per se you move into a cashless economy. You don't tax transactions, electronic transactions. You rather find a way of taxing transactions use cashes. So to discourage people, and then they will force themselves onto platforms engaging in how do we call it, cashless and electronic transactions. Until we all believed in that, and yet today under that dispensation, principles are no munim no. They decided say, "Oma ba be mu de sika yede." It is say me tax me who say they make me sika to charter a flight. It is say me tax me who say they say me call baby meet me one whole V8 be carriages makonja me de airco. And all these things. Into what they know to be the fact and the truth, they've thrown it away. That's the problem we have in this country. In Kenya, sir, how come? Say ene aban eba no bekase, we are frustrated, we need money into be tightening the bills, just like you say finance minister ekase in our cost sharing and the rest. Why is it that omuka cost sharing they are not talking about the benefits also that we should share it? Why is it that they do cost there we should share? Benefits but there we shouldn't share. Say nkasike ni omanyimu inke na me no tihi ene exactly 1 week MPP for call more primaries. Sika in your mind. Health minister and our ministry, Bekacho say they only need budget. Of course, some villages outside Accra, and sometimes when people who live in Accra, they think that Ghana is all about Accra. But when you have opportunity to travel the length of breadth of Ghana, Ubeun said there are some places I would do on my baby sound say, are you still in Ghana now? Health workers in some villages, all they need is just bicycle pay to go to some villages and go and save lives. Ministry of Health said only budget. And so Deputy Health Minister, a week ago, in Yesikato of 500 motorbikes, said Ochichama delegates just because of votes. Ghana. And then we turn around and we come and say cost sharing. we turn around and come and say aban in here sika enu ntino yen tax ye ho. Who does that?
And some okay na atwuma dwene but you know standing science some ye kan nyina no. What party executive or no and the organizer of the party in government say bibi anema ekono ono so eche na dwene na o kasai entimu se be ya mu yetie na bi se do sika na fire no na ye nyina so mfa nto enkomodi no so
what's up by withdraw ehun hia oze ehun hia ye wo form itie nsema nkofo ka Mr. Ministry of Finance enye bibia na edeba ede na emission levy na emission levy na no say dey
I didn't start in rano.
Nana levy by you saw how spirited better ha the kind my me as a party etie form ye ne nkofo adi nkomo na bi ho no ma no kwasem ni afina ye wom na bebi a ye duro ne ye nya ye gitum se covid yi ene Russia Ukraine won ne ma ho kire bae enu kwan se ye sade ho kire biem sa to eye Ghana for no so ana we kra no sa emission levy se wo hwe sika kra de bakra na enya de o se de bakra o se be ye bekeke ka ho nsem hwe so kwa ma no ne baby omo tide eto kasa ebia edisa hydrocarbons yi num no ebeba no dodo na no eya no mbe so mo discourage nkofo a mo use sa cars no they say cars use petrol ni diesel ma men kan sa petrol ni diesel no mbe so mo discourage you to mo discourage you so no they have an environmental mo use electric cars eduko UK electric cars company is booming. Ubedu baby ano, your charging point. In US the same. In Europe the same. If you don't know so more charges such levies now, or more charge, you know, can discourage you. And no quite the honest some cry chance, sir. Send a bit discourage you cross over to car. A diesel and not air petrol. Send a bit movie to electric cars. Now boy environment and any climate. All of year champion here, I mean climate advocacy no near there na boa. But so ka so the bagana. Now would a year emissions levy. For what purpose? We haven't gotten to that level now. Electric cars are being removed. Nana ya etre mo se wan aka o use electric car. Nana aka use electric car.
Me. Boy.
Of a minute or the electric car. Eti yen to that level no, and we must be frank. For me, that emissions levy it must be withdrawn ASAP. And I yen tie ni nkofo ne kan from here or from me national organizer of my party. I listen to my people. This must be withdrawn. And only I know quite them is Minister Aban as a Maya the VAT on
Electricity no.
You withdraw. Na ewo mranimu from Mahama Breso ene Mahama nya hoden ejina Kumase ka se eya aban we na ne trimo den ye de VAT. Meanwhile it has been in the law. Oh Mahama Breso ono na fama ne ne de ba ye ne de ba ana ho Brasim ne dim it must be withdrawn and e ma bi wo ho na say Ministry of Finance yeah ye be support it. And we have always been supporting. Nifi say Ebekundia tia Ghana for no. That is why we are also there as a political party. And I'm stating the position of the party
That
it must be withdrawn.
both the VAT on electricity and emission levy.
Withdraw.
we na boache atwetwa etafra na bi wo no na ye organizer dem MPP amayuko no na wo kasa wo Peace FM say what's any some kan yi.
Yeah, but okay. I can see the voice and the person of a hypocrite talking. That's all I see. You see, honestly speaking, anyone or be believe Asema Papa can say or the paper for what he's saying, then the person doesn't know him or doesn't know the MPP as a party. Tieni Kasemuye, I say the position of the party. Decisions takes place at cabinet per convention. The party in power, chairman and secretaries, they are part of cabinet. The chairman and secretary, can make a decision. Then you come out and say they are working, which is contrary to the decision of chairman or party can, you know. Would they working and they hear the position of the party.
So was the cabinet, you know, chairman, any general secretary
per convention. Since I'm say started either say Akuffo time and a chassis. And at the meetings, such a decision was taken. Into Yako meeting, me know we a chairman, me a secretary. Yako meeting, Yako boa, I may take a decision. You take a decision in the say you introduce this emission levy. You introduce electricity levy on electricity. You decide you din yankasa. Remember say enye ndra ne and it's a decision you take here. You take a decision, you train my time, you put it the next whatever in place. To the extent class say your ball coco. Say 1st of February, the year baby in Meboa. The announcement was even made. Publicity was made. Ebusiafue by next 2 weeks, 1st of February, the year baby in. Nanabi anka ho hwe nti wona aye chairman me secretary na ye wie ya makokwa embre na so 1st of February you take everything has come into effect. When who say TUC buefu, when who say Ghanaians agitating, and honestly the reason why a lot of Ghanaians are not talking about it, okay, I say until say Crusaders ya can be about we earlier and I joking look at na ye dey ye ni ade. The reason why a lot of people have decided say they won't talk about it, because I can't for the past 7 or so years. Aban I established say or no dear and ya do be it me before. Inti like unze in so say in so opportunity or whatever. So you doing pempenswa Ghanaians are just frustrated. Ya ye din and ye 2024 Pam no cham no say December beso. Nyame ye bon pa keke. Say we'll have life. Enti say nana bi eba no betena se. No ka say the asemo or no ka say emission tax ni yin fi but that is the position of the party. You heard him saying that that's the position of the party. Who are the party? Chairman, any general secretary. Key people. They are even above you. Omo journey e take a decision say yemfa levy we embra. Ne levy no aba near the year juma. Waba betena ho no say atema wo can say levy no enyi yin fi but that they all can the position of the party. Isn't this hypocritical?
Government no can him for the former government no. And your political party.
That is the thing. And the former government no. Isn't it so hypocritical? Isn't that make us look? Say oh dear it was say asema me case say mun get picture ni say nobody should take any words coming from the MPP at this time seriously because we now me a hypocrite. Let me give you another example. Some time back, Parliament echo recess. Call recess now. Some of the MPP around the time inka omo yabo or say mensa won the constituency. Now citizens were so angry. Into a lot of the MPs, call recess and they couldn't even go to their constituency. A lot were in Accra here. Went to come constituency because constituency decided say samuba ye be boom. Say the chairmen and come no. That was the decision across board. It was around the same time and Abeka youth phobia program be said national some entertainment program be a president call ya Omubu president. You remember? It was just around it. That was a planned thing. Independence Square. It was a planned thing. When the MPs who said ye hu ya akere no. Omu resume parliament first day you resume parliament and omu join here press conference. I can say omu say finance minister.
Ken must go.
Ken must go project. No? They were just doing it to mislead the populace because no one himself constituents no ebu form. Into end the me bibi. Now you see the bit to me sa opportunity no. I go back to the constituents. Now, constituents no affiliate a bit come. Sa project na go saying. What is our can be BBM? That is the hypocritical behavior of these people. But I'm happy. Your analysis, Nashe, I am happy because for me, it tells me that the electorates are becoming enlightened. You know why I'm happy? Your analysis of all those who lost last week primaries, most of them, normal Kasa Ken must go project.
And the appear could be.
Exactly.
Oh, no, yeah.
Me say, what they do it and see. Until you think you can be hypocritical. When you say, delegates and I say electorates and citizens ni ebuefua no aba betina citizens then na be betina wa ototo papa so oka de okay o dey can the reality will come
the reality will come when